Well, it's time to do some movie reviews. These are three movies I watched that I was able to sum up my thoughts in a paragraph, a very long paragraph, but a paragraph nonetheless. And I definitely need to just get this out of the way before I talk about something I have more to say, like weapons. Don't get me wrong, some of these movies do have a lot to say. Okay, maybe not a lot to say, but stuff to talk about. Some of the worst movies of the year, some of the best movies of the year. One's a terrible movie, one's a fantastic movie, and one's a movie I was like, so with all that said, let's talk about World of the Wars. War of the Worlds on Amazon in 2025, this year. So, I don't think of this as the worst film of 2025. Second worst. I hated Star Trek Section 31 more, and I'm not a Star Trek guy. I've seen 3-hour Star Trek movies, which might say something because I never read the books or saw the other War of the Worlds movies, which is probably why it just didn't offend me, I guess. It's, of course I know about it more so its legacy of other sci-fi films and the history of Orson Welles, but one day I'll check it out because it's probably, it is better than this. I don't hate the concept, and I also haven't seen searching our movies that do this format, something all being online for a desktop, but like found footage. In the right hands, it can work, and I think the idea about what if an alien vision from the perspective of phones and social media can be interesting. This movie isn't that, and it's terrible. Ice Cube is okay in this. Sometimes he's good, other times he's just terrible, and you can tell it's just because he wasn't given good direction or many takes. He just plays an unlikable main character who spies on his family with government technology and no way feeling sincere, like, no. And then the alien invasion happens, and it's just annoying. Like, this editing sucks, and it's just constantly zooms in and outs to make it appear more exciting than it is, as it just constantly zooms in and out, as it tries to be also real time, but it's clearly not, and it isn't even consistent. Like, sometimes we cut away from the desktop to just Ice Cube because clearly they forgot to create a scenario for where he's on screen at this point. And the alien effects range from fine to just terrible, and the plot makes no sense since I don't think the filmmakers know how either data or hacking works. I think the movie is so serious it has such dumb lines like, I don't have alien insurance, or do a barrel roll, or give him a $1,000 Amazon card so he can flip the drone. Some of the other actors, like the big names, are fine, but it's just dumb and boring. It's a generic alien invasion film brought with more attention due to it being on Amazon than if it were no names on something like Tubi. It didn't occur to me until, like, where this idea could work, until I remembered, oh yeah, Matt Reeves' Cloverfield. So this is the worst version of that, on top of being a terrible War of the Worlds movie, which I don't think this movie understands because I never read it, but I think this wasn't what the author was going for. It didn't piss me off, but it's, okay, it pissed me off, but it's just boring and stupid on every level, and if it didn't have the names involved, like Ice Cube and the classic title, no one would care. Or maybe it would have still, gone down to infamy. Who knows? But because of it, this will live in infamy, and until we all forget about it. But I've seen worse movies that give harmful messages or even dumber with higher budgets. That doesn't make this better on a curve. Like, it's terrible and pathetic. It's also just a movie I sat through out of morbid curiosity that if it pisses you off more, fair enough. But I'm gonna move on with my life. Like, the time was nothing, which may say something, but like this movie, whatever its message was going for, says nothing in the end, and it will be forgotten. I give War of the Worlds a 2 out of 10. Sorry if the video suddenly entered a different quality, something happened with the camera. Anyways, let's talk about something that makes me happy. The Naked Gun 2025, one of the best comedies of the 2020s. Going through the list, it's not a hard competition since even the best comedies that are all about the laughs are few, like the Weird Al movie, Beavis and Butthead, Dude the Universe, 100 Beavers, Borat 2. But The Naked Gun stands on its own. As a legacy sequel, I don't care as much as others, since seeing Naked Gun 2 the same day for the first time as this, it's better than Naked Gun 2, and I presume 3, unless someone will say Naked Gun 3 is better. Now, I'm waiting for that. But anyways, let's talk about spoof movies, because I love spoof movies. Like this, or just all the out comedies from the Brooks School there, from Blazing Saddles to Spaceballs, and Zucker Abrams, from Airplane to Naked Gun. I just love the exaggerated worlds and humorous characters, and while a dramedy can't work, and Edgar Wright films are both funny and heartfelt, there's a certain vibe hard to explain, but seeing through it, you can feel it. Liam Neeson is the perfect choice, and he's just not stoic. He is acting his ass off without trying to be funny, and that's how it should work, since lots of directors misunderstand how this is supposed to work, and by that, they misunderstand how to be funny. Look, the plot doesn't really matter because it doesn't frustrate me if it were so stupid and insult my intelligence, and it really doesn't. Because even if the villain's plot, and I feel like I'm the only one who's noticed this, is the same as Samuel Jackson's from Kingsman, it just made me laugh mostly every time. I think one of the jokes I hated was Neeson obsessed with Buffy on TiVo, which is stretched out. But other than that, this was close to as comedy perfection as you can get. And again, the plot is... okay, the plot doesn't frustrate me because it works for what it is and what it achieves to be as in one of the best comedies of the decade without making you feel like an idiot for it. And that's because, like, the wordplay is so good, but you can tell these are smart writers who do respect your intelligence. And sure, there's a couple reference-heavy jokes. It genuinely stands on its own. It doesn't rely on nostalgia from the first beyond what you might see in the trailers. And it is something where, you know, you think you know the jokes in the trailer, and in broader context, it is just even funnier. And my God, it's just... yeah, it's short, to the point, and never feels like it's wasting your time, and it knows just how to be funny as much as it can be. More so than a lot of other movies. And it's just, like, I was curious how, you know, the snowman would fit into all this, and it's bonkers. And I love the crane game with the card, the eye chart, the end credits, the curtains creating this effed up energy through shadows, which was probably not something new, but I don't care. Like, Paul Walterhauser and Pamela Anderson are also great. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to do a full review when it feels like everything I can talk about just is me explaining the joke. Because, you know, it's funny. And if stupid humor isn't your thing because you have no sense of joy, fair enough. But, you know, it can be done wrong because I seen the Starving Games at a friend's house once. And we're not friends with him anymore. But hey, to me, it's not the same. And maybe it's not as memorable or clever as the classics or other comedy films this decade, because I have to say so, because it's not been that long. But yeah, I mean, sure. Maybe something like Hundreds of Beavers is more clever, but I can't remember laughing this hard in a long time, and I loved it so much, and I can't wait to watch it again. It might not be a perfect film, but it sets out to be a perfect comedy, and it comes closer than anything else this decade because it's not lazy, it's genuinely well-directed, time-paced, creative, and sincere about having fun and giving everyone a good time while watching it. And, you know, again, it's not going to be... okay, well, if I put it like this, it might be my top 10 films of the year, but that's because what it sets out to do isn't exactly the same as, like, one of the best dramatic films of the year you see in the Best Picture category of the Oscars. This is setting out to be a comedy as perfect as you can get, and, you know, a pure entertainment value. And honestly, something this likable and something so joyous is something you seek for a film like me. Yeah, it is one of my favorite films of the year, and I just love The Naked Gun. It is something, at only 85 minutes, something after days think about, it's still an excellent comedy. And it's one of my favorite films of the year. So, yeah. I give The Naked Gun 2025 a 9 out of 10. Okay, now we got War of the Worlds out of the way and The Naked Gun. Let's talk about a movie that's incredibly forgettable. The Pickup on Amazon Prime. It was bad. I guess I'd seen it coming because, you know, was I expecting this to be great? Not really. But look, I was open-minded to a movie being good based on the okay trailer I saw. Instead, it's a really unfunny ice film that really only serves as a movie night if you just scroll on Amazon Prime for something new. And this will do the job in the sense it's got people you recognize and you might be interested in that alone. Like, I didn't talk about the plots for the last two movies since, let's be frank, you probably can't understand what the gist of them are. Alien movie, comedy movie, what's the pickup? Heist movie. It's a heist movie where I don't really care to explain the plot because it's terrible and look, I'll get into it. Look, I'll say this. Eddie Murphy and Keke Palmer carry this film with what charisma they have, and for the backstory they later give Keke's character, makes me wish this was her movie, and her acting off Eddie Murphy could have made this work. Unfortunately, they're not given anything funny to do, and the banter just made me cringe because it just goes on and on and on. Plus, yeah, Pete Davidson is incredibly unlikable in this, being so stupid. I don't care one bit about this character that makes Paul Blart look like John McClane. I don't hate Pete Davidson himself as of now. Who knows? Maybe he'll do something that makes me wrong for saying I like him. Look, I've seen him fine in other things, but he's not an actor. He doesn't at all have the charm to match Murphy in the slightest. It's not a terribly made film, though, and it's because Tim Story does a great job directing the action sequences, and while the writing doesn't carry it, Keke and Eddie's charm do elevate the material. I genuinely like the chemistry between Eddie Murphy and Eva Longoria as a couple. They're not given a lot to do, but I think there's something there than a better movie. You know, actually, I think if you just root Pete Davidson, I would have said this was okay. But plus, honestly, I don't fully know how it was going to end, so that's one thing. You know, it was unpredictable in the sense of, I don't know where this is going, but, okay, I'm kind of curious. But I wouldn't call this film lazy or generic. I mean, I could in parts, but look, I think as a whole, I would say this movie just feels uninspired. Like, I'm not an expert on heist films, but this story isn't Steven Soderbergh, and Pete Davidson just drags the whole movie down from what could have been mediocre to a bad movie. And it's not the worst movie I've seen this year. It's got its entertaining moments, but it's frankly a pretty stupid movie. And at best, something you only pass since you just go, I mean, I'm not subscribing to Amazon for the pickup. You're going to watch it because it comes with Amazon Prime. And if I'm wrong, but hey, you know, come and goes. It's a movie that I didn't like, but I'll probably put this in my worst of the year's list. It's not as bad as War of the Worlds, but I mean, you know, if I need a default slot, yeah, this is going there. Anyways, it's a bad movie. I give The Pickup a 4 out of 10.